it will be other colors. Zone A is the one closer like to the wells, and it corresponds to to a maximum duration of 250 days of transit time. So for any reach like the head of the well, the top of the well. So we consider like zone A is very sensitive to any type of contamination, especially bacteria. And of course, it's exposed like to petroleum and the persistent solvent products. So zone Z, and after the zone B, we considered like any other bacteria that would be getting in would have a lower impact on the human health that would drink the water. So zone B, this one is it's limited to to 5 years at the head of the well, so 250 days to 5 years to draw around this zone, like for any type of contamination from petroleum products. And zone C, it corresponds like to the transit time to 25 years of all the particles that would reach like the head of the well, and it corresponds to the which is delicate in this zone is the persistent solvents. So we have three categories of contamination that would be overlapping, but they are not the only one. So we'll see later, like there's a more complete, exhaustive list of possible contamination. So the origins of those contaminants is because of petroleum fuel, petroleum solvents, chlorinate solvent, pesticides, microbiological sources, groundwater heat pumps. So these are so they're using like underground water. So it's fertilizer like that produces nitrates, forestry. So when we do clear cutting, that accelerates like the flow and the filtration, and we have groundwater extraction, like the wells like that compete municipal wells, and we have also wells that are abandoned and that are not decommissioned. So these could become possible contamination sources: road construction, residential buildings, and we'll see like residential developments too. They are classified in two categories: existent and new, and the restrictions are different according if the buildings are new or existing. There are commercial, institutional, and industrial buildings, and mining and aggregate removal. So this list is not a complete, but in the pamphlet, we would like to distribute this evening, there's a more complete list. So on one side is in English, the other side is in French. So if we go from page 5 and on, we have table 1, which groups like all the restrictions associated to different activities that are allowed. I will not get into details, but you will see For each activity, there are three columns, which is restricted, which is allowed in zone E, which is allowed in zone B, and the same for zone C. So we go like everything that's not allowed is forbidden. So what's allowed in zone A is allowed in zone B and C. So that was what I was saying earlier. Like if we go on page 9, we have like residential building, existing residential building. So they are in zone A, which being allowed, and residential building 9, A, what's allowed. And later the presentation, but it's important to know that there are some restrictions that are not that are different according to the location of the properties. Here we have an example of the preliminary delimitation, which are it's a green line and a pink line and a yellow line. So these are zone ABC preliminary. So the delineation is for other colors, and we also have one zone that is a red, blue, and green. And this is the only zone that is designated for the well there. So we have 6 wells that are not designated yet, but they are part of the delineation, this global delineation in yellow, which is the extremity of zone C, and that has to be that are in the process of being designated. Generally, what's being done when we do like a study of this nature, all the wells are considered together, like in the simulation that is done by the consultant. So he applies like a maximum pumping by the determination that is provided following the study. So those maximum pumping, they are done virtually and on all the wells. So we are defining those zones that are more conservative, that are bigger than required, because during the functioning, those flow will not be coming out of all of those wells, and during the pumping, the day of pumping. So that's under extreme conditions here. And if we want to go above those limits that are indicated by in this report, we have to do another pumping trial at a higher flow, so to justify the pumping potential, so we can increase it. So a well is already delimited, so that's where. And we have 6 other wells that are to delimit on the map. So we have another map that I did not mention. It is well number 12. So with the impact, so it's not in service yet. So and determination has just been provided to the town. So to say like here are the conditions, and one of those conditions is to do like a delineation study in order to increase it. So globally, we would see like there would be like a line around this well to broaden the protection zone for the retaining field. But Mark asked us to include this well like within the map, so that's why we're mentioning it this evening. So So if the resolution includes this, it would facilitate the process, and the impact would be more would be minimal, but it would still affect some properties that are not covered by the preliminary zones. So the petroleum fuels, like in zone A, so the regulation like 25 liters per property. So those who have above this limit, they would have to reduce the amount. And there is also like a expiration date that could go up to 10 or 15 years. So according to the capacity and quality structure, in order to change it and reduce it to 25 liters or stop the activity completely. If the property is in zone B, so the maximum would be 1200 liters, knowing that they need to be like a secondary conditioning, either like a tank with a double wall. If it's a single wall, well, you need to have like a secondary container, like to in order like to retain the possible spill. So zone C, it's a 2000 liters, so still they need like a secondary tank, and those details will be provided in the answer to the exemption that will be given to an owner that would ask an exemption at the department. It would be according to the year of the tank, and also like the warranty coverage. So one of the conditions will show what is the expiry date to change like the capacity, to change the stocking capacity. For chemicals, we have a list that is not exhaustive. It's more important, like a table number 2, which is on page 12 of your pamphlet, and this table shows like all the chemical products that are regulated, and all those in the list, they're included at the last line, so all other products. So the maximum is 20 liters in zone A, 50 is 50 liters in zone B, and 100 liters in zone C. But globally, there's one of the products on for which we have 65 liters in zone B, so it gives a maximum of column B, and the maximum zone C is 500 liters. So all the exemptions, all the storage under this limit for different products will be accepted. No exemption is required. It's when it's limited or it goes above, the exemption is asked, and then according to the dangerosity of the products or the duration of the use, there could be an exemption. For organic and microorganic, anything pertaining to agriculture, it's not allowed in zone A. So there are no if zone A, the municipality cannot have any installations of primary channels, like for the those sewer system, because it should have been done prior to the designation. So some are just putting their foot on the brake just for their main line, for main sewer lines, and once the designation comes, we have no problem with this. But unless, except after the designation, like everyone with the properties will not be able to get the authorization to build because it will not have any connection to the sewer system of the municipality, and they will not be authorized to have like a sewer in zone A. Zone B and C, it's allowed. These activities are allowed. So the land uses. So the main concern is the residential development. Like you cut tree, like clear cutting, and it encourage also like the flow. So and it's a problem to with this regulation trying to bring solution, and the commercial and institution, they are not authorized in zone A. If they're existing, they have to be connected to the municipal water system. If not, you need like an expiry date in order like to change the system, either by connecting to an existing system or relocalization by relocating it. So the next steps would be a resolution from the council, and once the minister received the resolution of the council, there will be like a public consultation period that could last. Usually, it was 30 days for a public consultation, and it would allow like one of any of those zones that have properties on those zones, partially or totally, to receive a letter to, and uh, and it's my colleague Brittany and my other colleague Sarah taking directive to send to all the homeowners, the landowners, like some letters where you will have this pamphlet that explain the procedure, and also like the notification saying with the plan for of the delineation, and if ever there was one of those restrictions that is not followed, then you have to write to ask an exemption. After this public consultation period, we will receive like a summary. We'll prepare a summary of the questions and answers, and this summary will be included in the resolution from the council, and to the memo that will be addressed to the executive council to include it in the regulations, and in the regulation. If we go to the appendix 27, just for Shediac, like it's a small zone that is always delineated. So once when it will go to the executive, you will have all the zones, not included the 12 because it will come after. If the study is done and the demarcation is done, well, it could be one change maybe on the overall designated zone. Do you have any questions? A few questions. I will save my question. Unless my Councillor Paul Boudreau. Yes, thank you for your presentation. You were referring to the document. So on page 6, lately, like we had informative discussion on pesticides, and it shows also the application. So we have like the concentration and the manufacturer. So who's managing this? Because what I see here, So there would be some conditions to follow, like so who's doing the follow-up of those conditions to make sure they're all followed? Stocking and if we look at the zone you referred to, like so it goes in the neighboring property, so it could be so one neighbor would have a restriction, the other one wouldn't. So I could also so that some complaint cases we had, those who were under the influence of the pesticides that are used by the neighbors. First, we send Brittany to see, and if there is a conflict, and then she asked one of the an inspector to intervene. So, and if we cannot solve the conflicts, and if the penalty still say, so the penalties would apply fines up to 50,000 fines for individuals, and then for society up to 100,000. So it's the Department of Environment that would take care of this. I would want to say yes, but the inspectors are including in the process. So after we throw the baby with the bathwater, so it goes to the justice. So they continue. So they have some liaison, like especially on files, enforcement files. So all those files are managed by public service. Thank you. So my question was not for complaint, is to avoid the complaints. See if the conditions are followed. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Paul. Councillor Peterborough. I would have two questions. So the first, congratulations presentation to water quality. It's essential. So we're never too careful. So my first question is Zone A. So Zone A, is it always the same size? So the answer is no. It's not always the same size. Like so the parameters you introduce in the model, so we include like the thickness of the water system. It allows also like the flow, the water circulates. So when there is some pumping, the interstratification of the layers that forces water, like so if you have to, so all this geology hydrodynamic parameters, these are parameters to be included with, of course, like all the uncertainties on some data that are not available. And the consultant has to make assumption by analogy and also by his experience. So it gives a zone that could be very different. So it goes to my second question. So if we accept the other well field, so it means some residents they have gardens, home gardens, so they would be in Zone A. So those gardens, are they excluded, or so are they under the grandfather 20 liters? It's not a lot. So this individual not allowed to have any garden. So what happened to those people? So if we look at some wells, we still have like home gardens, like they're using like chemicals that are not allowed in Zone A. If it was there before, so are they still allowed to? Are they grandfathered or not? I know that Mark asked us for the community garden, which one is Zone A? And the answer is no, because it's not existent, it's private. I'm talking about private residences. So they would be in zone A. And usually these would be small gardens in general. The one right beside. It's not a big garden, but still a garden. So if we have to modify it, we'll have to modify it. It's not only us. So here you have gardening and fertilizer. So zone A, what is? And we often have like some complaint because some individuals using fertilizers. My neighbors, say these are not fertilizers. It's pollution. So there are some activities that are allowed in zone A where for gardening and fertilizer. Who's controlling this so it's efficient? We have no staff that will go door to door like in zone A to C. But as soon if we get a complaint, it's taken very seriously. So we said either Brittany or an inspector, and then if they come in, well, things can heat up. So they look at the situation. Thanks for your presentation. So it gives us a better overview of what it entails for the designation of the wells, because we only have like one out of the. Maybe one thing I would like to share with you. Someone was asking, like, my property, which zone is it in? So it's just to come here, like the identification number, and it brings you directly. So where we're at. I have a question, Mr. Mayor. In Zone A, the residential development is allowed. Is it only if they can be connected to a municipal system? So does it require, like, if it requires like a clear cutting, would it be allowed? Like clear cutting is not forbidden as soon as it's a residential development. The bylaw of the municipalities, the municipal bylaw prevails. So what we recommend when it's in zone A is to ask for an exemption request, and if the answer is yes, you're authorized, but you have to limit yourself to construction, trying to minimize the impact, and to keep as much vegetation as possible. So in the sixth zone A, we will approve. So are there any areas who do not have any water system, or it's all served by water and sewer system, or? So would there be like any zone of what will be zone A that are not developed? So so it's still so there's no streets yet. So I felt like the Beaubridge Street between Bellevue and Ohio Street, which is so there's no water a pipe. There's no sewer pipe because it doesn't exist yet with the model. So it would not forbid any road construction. So road construction, it must be before designation, because they're only agriculture farm road that are authorized. Do not ask me why, I do not know the answer. So the roads that are served like existing lots, they're not allowed in zone A after designation, except if it's an access to go to the pumping station. So what is the time between the designation and the resolution of the council? I mentioned it to Sarah, like the global objective was to designate it by the end of the year. council approved the resolution, this we would have until the end of the year, like to get some exemption for residential development for those zone who do not have this. I wouldn't want to say yes, it could be possible because like the 12, like we would like the study. The 12 is not included here, so if the 12 is included and the study delineation study is done, it could be included. So we might be able to save some time, and then we'll know like if it's zone A where we could do the main lines like for the water lines and drinking water. Thank you. And I think in all the other zone A, so the development in region A, it's all done. So maybe in zone C, our district would be able to build. It's a reason why Shediac was for a very long time waiting to before they could get into the game. So since 2007, this zone was delineated because we wanted like to do some development, which is okay. Like so, all the municipalities are doing some development in zones before they can look for drinking water. Councillor Janissa. So once like the zones are designated, do we have zone like where we have concerns? Once it's designated, so can we cannot put like sewer pipes, or do we have any zone like where we have all sewer? So once it's designated, we will not be allowed. We cannot do anything or make any changes. Yes, so the maintenance is very well recommended because it's a source of pollution. So if we have septic tanks, so if we have any septic sewer system, it has to phase out. But we have to maintain them to in order to avoid like some pollution or contamination before the end of the update. So we could do some. We could change like a sewer line. The changes if it's to replace the existing sewer like on the same is no problem. But if it's to do some modification or to add it's to add some main lines that are not authorized in zone A. So no addition but changes. But everything that's there like repairs and everything. Yeah. By memory, I know like there's some things that as the guy was saying in the presentation, like a geothermal pump, it's not none is allowed in the Shediac for several years. Like it was never allowed. So these are is for the protection. Like it's not allowed like outside the zone 6 if it's and I thought for private well, so you cannot get like a building permit if you cannot connect like to the municipal system. So what's outside? Well, it will be after will be after the reform. So it would be urban development zone. So we need any new construction has to be connected to the municipal system. So it's a decision that goes back to municipality. It's encouraged because it reduces the number of cheese holes like in the soil like that are additional sources of contamination. Yeah, like a Swiss cheese. Councillor Pot, is there a date like a deadline like to get a resolution comes in 1 month to? So the resolution is for this evening later. I have a concern with this. I'm not questioning the importance of this file, but what we have in for is very important. So it affects the future of the town, like very long term. So we're talking about on developing street and the developers with our economic officer institutions. to take a decision this evening.
La résolution est à l'ordre du jour.
So the resolution doesn't mean we can table it. It's always an option. So do we need a resolution to do a presentation and vote on something that will have an impact for the next 50 years? I'm not. I have a hard time. I would like to get more information, like from our department heads. Councillor Janice is right. Do we have to move like the well, like some sewer line? We cannot really like switch like well, I understand the analogy, but so this is my question. So are we really in a hurry? Do we have to?
C'est pas une obligation de
It's not an obligation to designate them, but I think it's an environmental risk not to do it. You'll have to do it sooner or later. If you want like a good information, it's not a reason not to do so. Because it's been for years, like Mr. Suma was saying, we are there. For the well will it wait because but the others, Council upon the other wells, well they're already existing, so the infrastructures have been there for a long time, so there wouldn't be like no reason like except one sector in particular is not developed, but some wells that are zone there would be a risk to wait for the future development or economic development. So the others, well, I don't think it. So if we do a resolution, does well, it's up to you to design. You can remove one because it's not already in operation. But if you have any concern, well, Mark could answer your questions. You do not have to approve all of them this evening, but so it's clear. Information is important. Yeah.
toujours avoir la bonne information.
Always have the right information and all the information we need. So the idea is to make a decision with the informed decision. So wanted to be ready like to bring it this evening. So that's where we are. Okay.
Merci beaucoup, M. Souma.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Souma and Mrs. Brittany.
Merci.
Thank you.
Intéressant.
Something to think.
Ça va amener une deuxième présentation.
We'll bring a second presentation. In there, you see, with us we have André Vigneault. We'll do a short presentation on a study that was mandated as by the municipal council. It's a citizen committee that was put together to look at the question issue and to come back with some suggestions, etc. And we see like I think you have all of the committee this evening. So I would invite André, or if you are with someone else, you can still do it. I will let you introduce your members. Nothing like distancing.
Bonsoir.
Good evening.
Monsieur. Bonsoir, on m'appelle André Vigneault.
I'm André Vigneault. I think we all know each other. So before we start, I would like to further thank Gilles Bellois, the clerk, and especially Connie Bourgeois for all the work she did for us, like during our conversation on the pay remuneration, because that's what we had a discussion with our with the citizen committee. So I would like to introduce them. Maybe you don't know all of them. Donald Leblanc is a former mayor of the village of Imamcote. From 2016, he was a councillor before. Now he's retired. He's a very busy retiree because every time I call him, he's busy like doing some carpenter work with his brother. So he has a great experience.
Résident de Chédiac.
He's a proud resident of Shediac. Ronald Boudreau. I think everyone knows Ronald. He's a former president of Discodoc LSC, is a former member of the Solid Waste Corporation, a former commission member. He's been a long-time public servant. Joanne Anari, she's she has a diploma from University of Moncton, and then she just finished like her first year of as a law student. And Melanie Bichot, she could not be here because she's a lawyer, and she had some work to, she was working this evening, so she's working with Actus Law, and she has a degree in psychology and then a degree in law. And I'm retired, not as busy as Donal, but and I was working as a federal public service in policy and planning. And I also said was part of the Horizon Health Network. I was there for 6 years. I was a member of the executive, finance, and human resources and governance management. And before that, I was a reporter. And that was my training. And we were at. So you pass a motion on February 28th of this year to create like a committee to revisit the remuneration of the elected official of the town of Shediac. And my father would say it was a delicate question for a lot of individuals because everyone knows that because if you're well paid, so what we did, we had at least 6 meetings, and we use as a guide like the remuneration guide of the elected official from the IFNB, and it's very important for you like because it speaks directly like the work done by the municipal elected official is more and more demanding, and the responsibility, and it requires like a sustained commitment that is not recognized or valued. And it's necessary like to value more like those who are dedicated to their citizen, and the remuneration of and their remuneration should reflect like all the responsibility levels. In your letter, Mr. Mayor, you said the last time the question was it was 11 years ago when the remuneration established in 2017 was indexed like to the consumer price index. According like to the census of 2006, like the population was maybe 5,500 citizens at the time. The recent data for 2020 census of 2021 confirmed the Shediac population increased like to 36%, so 7,535 individuals. And once the municipal reform would be implemented, the LST of Pointe-du-Chêne, Scodoc, and Shediac would be part of the new Shediac. The population post-reform will be over 10,700, like if a 90% increase. I will not read like the whole report, so I will simply say like I will do like a brief summary. So the town of Shediac is the second place like, for the economic growth in all the town of the province. And in this context, like our committee look at the question, and here is what we found. Like the proposed guide, there are 5 criteria like to assess like pay increase, like the services offered to the population, the numbers of institution, infrastructure, and government services on the municipality, like the tax base, and also like the area of the territory. For the population, there are some scales. So here, like if the population falls into like 10,000 to 25,000, so we are the value. Some sub value are given for each criteria. It's a value of 5. service offered to the population would be 7 to 10. So it would give you a value of 4. And the number of institution, infrastructure, and government services on the territory goes from 6 to 9, so it's a value of 3. And a tax base, a value of 1. And the superficie, there's no value, it's 0, but we have more than 100 kilometers. So when we add all those values, it gives up like a value of 9. So when we see like the results of which is established per a number of population, it's in the table that is indicated at number 7. So the population is a 5. So it's in the scale 10,000 to 25,000, and as our value is at 9 and above, so the salary of the mayor that we're proposing would be 60,150 and 72,200. So with the new municipal reforms, the Shediac would be at level 5. So remuneration for the mayor between those two numbers. So it would be like a gap of the $10,000 cap. So what we did unanimously recommend to take the average of those two salaries. So it would give $67,150. That is a proposed remuneration for the mayor of Shediac. And we have to understand, like we have a pay scale that is broad that you will have to position ourselves. And we made several considerations. So we have to consider, like, in order to determine, like, the mayor's remuneration, we have the financial capacity of the municipality, the number of the tax base, like the debt ratio, and also the number of residents. So we see, like, the tax base of Shediac, where the second one, we all have those apartment buildings are being built, and we have the jail, like, just soon, like, we will have, like, the construction for the Villa Providence, so that adds, like, to the financial capacity of the town. The actual remuneration of the mayor, non-permanent receptivity of the population, the general climate, and the particularity of the municipalities, like the geographic situation and the constraint adaptation, are important. So according to the guide, so the deputy mayor should receive a remuneration between 45 to 45% of the mayor's salary. So our committee recommend to establish this percentage to 42%. So it would give you a remuneration of 28,203 for the position of deputy mayor. For the remuneration for the councillors, by relying on the guide, should be between 35 and 40% of the mayor's salaries. Our committee recommends to establish, like, the percentage to 38%, which is $25,518 for the councillor's salary. So we recognize that these amounts seem high, and we're in the opinion, like, the remuneration are fair, and we are unanimous that we are comfortable with our decision. So what we are proposing, so the salaries do not go exactly to those levels, so we recommend, like, the salaries shown, like, only come into effect, like, January 1st, 2023, and they will increase gradually up to January 1st, 2026, following a table that you will see. So the salary for the mayor at 2023 will go from 21,000 to 32,689.94 cents. So it would decrease by 54% first, and then it increased then 11,487 every year, like for the next following years, to reach in 2026 to $67,000 and something. In order to increase the salary all at once, I think we decide to do it gradually.
Pour le maire ou la suppléant,
For the deputy mayor, well,
donc on monte
so we'd increase the salary, like for the deputy mayor, 15,483.
une augmentation
So an increase 38%, 2023.
qui est une autre
And then we will go like equal for $4,253 every year. And at the beginning of 2026, $28,203. For the councillors, it's the same pattern. We start in 2023, like 13,000. It will increase on $4,000 every year up to in 2026, $25,000. So we think it would reflect like the work, not only the difficult and complex work, as we can see, like the. So what we saw this evening,
tâche assez difficile
it's difficult. No, it's not it's no small detail, but the reality is
pour gérer une ville comme
to manage like a town like Shediac, in which is growing, with all the challenges like we have, that's waiting for you as a citizen, and the councillor that will join you like around this table in November.
c'est important.
It's important like the salary reflects this.
Donc, on aussi, juste on passe par ça,
So because we do not think like the Shediac elected official should receive like a per diem. We do not recommend this, but if you want to wisdom and decision proceed like this, it's up to you to take this decision, as it's up to you to decide not to accept our recommendation.
on a pris connaissance
So we were made aware, like by the end of our discussion, that
une nouvelle guide
there was a new guide for the IFNB because of inflation. We decided not to mention it.
très sensible
We're very sensitive. Like at first,
rémunération
those remuneration, like those proposed salaries, seem high. But we are remaining confident that they will be fair and square, and it should be well received by the majority of the Shediac citizens. So if you have any question, we would be ready.
premièrement pour votre
And thanks for your presentation.
question épineuse.
It's a very delicate question.
Une des raisons pour laquelle
It's one of the reasons why the council agreed
de regarder la
when to look at the remuneration. It's been a long time since it was not looked at that. The last time was 2011, and it was simply indexed to the cost of living, and nobody mentioned it after.
réforme qui arrive
With the municipal reform and the expansion over the last couple of years, so
pour regarder
it's time to look at this.
moi de des annonces
We see some ads like from other municipalities. So they reviewed those announcements. They reviewed like the salary of their elected officials.
merci pour le travail
Thank you for your hard work, and you took the time to think about it, to meet, to discuss seriously of this question. So thank you very much.
cette recommandation
So this recommendation not only will be presented to the municipal council
débat pour discussion
for discussion and debate, but it's one of the things we'll be able to bring to the transition committee, and then this is a committee with the 4 LSTs where discussing, and they have to look at this question.
une des idées.
So this is one of the items among several of them. At least we can see like you consider this reform in order to be able to prepare a file. It's more than a number like taking out of the air.
C'est ça qu'on recherche.
So that's what we were looking for. Thank you very much.
Conseil Paul?
Councillor Paul. Thank you, thank you, Andre, and your team. Thank you, Connie, for your work. Very interesting. I just have a couple of questions. Eventually, yes, it will affect like a municipal budget, but I would like to know for this 12 we could have like a meeting just to discuss this item, because it will have an impact on 2023 budget. I did not get all the numbers, but it looks interesting, like the capacity with our account. And one thing I did not heard, does it affect the per diem we have now? because I heard salary, salary. So was it your mandate to do address like the per diem? No, we decided not to touch like the per diem. So my question, so we have a budget includes like the budget, the salary and the per diem. So if it increase the two of them together, we all look at the remuneration. The per diem is up to you to decide. We know there's a per diem like for all like when you travel outside the town of Shediac, there are per diem also that exist for the work you're doing in the town, and we did not want to touch any of this. So it's up to you to you to decide. So with the proposed salary that will be higher, if there's a per diem like for the town of Shediac, well, because it's all the same budget envelope. That's what I wanted to know, and we can get some information. There are several municipalities who use the same guide. So
Juste en discutant
just discussing on the question with the mayor of Dieppe.
la ville de Dieppe,
So the town of Dieppe,
ils ont adopté, qui est en
when they adopted in 2018, they decided to abolish the per diem.
fait des ajustements
And they made some adjustment like over several years, and some of them did the same.
Dieppe l'a fait sur 5 ans,
I think Dieppe it was 5 years. So it depends really.
l'écart
It depends on the gap that had to be filled.
plus informé
So we can get some information. So how they dealt with those per diem. Maybe they did not have it before. Maybe they had some. I don't know how we proceed. So between our salaries and per diem, $80,000.
tout ensemble.
You mean all together? Yes, yes.
J'ai pensé, si
That's
ces salaires-là, je ne l'ai pas vu. Là.
If it's a salary, I didn't see it. But for the next meeting, what will be the number after? Is it 180 to 200? So that's why we're important just to discuss like what impact also with those who are paying us, the taxpayer. It would be for the budget of 2023. Thank you. Just to clarify, like the last page in our conclusion, well, our committee do not believe that the Shediac elected official should receive a per diem to attend the events that are done within the town of Shediac. The town limit be. Thank you, Donald, for clarifying this. We do not think. I'm a former mayor, yeah. Thank you, Andre, also like gradual. That was my concern, so. And also for the reform. Yeah, it would have to be addressed. Thank you very much for your presentation this evening. Thanks for your work. So what do we do? First, we can discuss as a municipal council, because it will be one of the things, and the other thing will be, it will be one of the documents we could give as a reference, like with the transition committee members, our facilitators. So these are like the next step.
Faudrait, si qu'on pouvait se mettre sur
If we could
la même page,
to be on the same page at least,
présenter ça,
we could present this. We had discussion with the transition committee, and the transition committee were 2 voices out of 10.
pas majoritaire,
So we're not the majority, but at least we could present and explain what was the process, what was the rationale, what are the explanations. So it will be on this. It will be all mentioned in the report.
ah oui, ça j'imagine, ça sera.
Yeah, imagine. I know Mr. Viano forbidden to look at this file before, so you will present it when you're ready. Yeah, thank you, Councilor Patricia. So when I do the documents, I want to do the percentage of increase. I can do the calculations. I know, like I had in. I saw, was it in l'Acadie Nouvelle or Radio Canada maybe?
La nouvelle municipalité,
The new municipality, Cap-Acadie,
53 000.
the mayor's salary will be 53,000 something. That's what they announced.
Je prends par acquis à partir du 1er janvier.
It will be probably like as for January 1st.
Je veux pas, on est plus grand.
We were bigger, so it should be more. So
Ça, la recommandation ici,
this is the recommendation. It has to be fair for our citizen.
à suivre.
But to be continued. Now we have a third presentation. Mrs. Poirier, you wanted to talk on two items, the accent on Shediac and also the pesticide file. Good evening. Good evening. It's not a new file, no. I just want to go briefly on the name of the new entity. I found it interesting that since the beginning of the meeting, I'm here at Shediac. And I'm a teacher for those who know me. And when I heard Shediac, I see like S-H-E with an accent. S-H-E is Shediac. So we have to relearn like to pronounce like the name of our municipality or future entity. future. And Mr. Mayor, Roger Casey, so when you announce, can you hear me? Like that we keep Shediac, S-H-E-D-I-A-C, or Shediac, if we want to pronounce it in English. He said it was the decision of the transition committee, so that's what, and it wasn't up to the municipal council to decide. But on the transition committee, you had two individuals from this council, Councillor Paul Boudreau and Roger, that were representing you, the rest of the council. So imagine like the council was consulted, and what they brought was your opinion. So they were representing us, also us, the citizen. A Kenneth Lausier, like from the transition committee, was a committee with them. Then the decision was unanimous. So, Mr. Mayor and Paul, so you said like all the council. It's not the reality like the transition committee. It's the council. With the transition committee, it decided that our future new entity would be Shediac. So my first question is, so when I was following this file, I would see like in the newspaper, like all the municipalities, where the municipal council, they would consult their population asking some suggestions for names. So my first question this evening is, who decided not to consult and why? Why there was no consultation, so why no one asked? I saw other municipalities where you had several public meetings. You had like the names. It was exciting. Everybody together, like they were doing suggestions and consultations. And then we had. It's one of my first questions. So why? You want me to answer? Yeah, please answer it now. I have a question. Answer the transition committee. In other new entities, so that's what they call the. So the transition committees of other entities decided like to do some consultation for their own reason. So the transition committee of the entity number 37, which is the Shediac with the four local service districts, essentially like they went right to the point. They decided to keep like the Shediac name. So the discussion at the time was the town of Shediac was the only municipal entity in this group. So it's not a combination of several municipalities, as is the case for other regions like Bourassa, Ligadou, Petit Rocher, and Pointe-Verte. So these are four different municipalities and LSTs. So the transition committee decided to keep Shediac as it, so the entity was taken for us to keep the name of Shediac. When it came from discussion, we had a resolution and we got support. So that's what I understand. So the decision was taken by the transition committee. As it did, there was a case for the transition committees, and as you saw, so they did a consultation, but it was up. So the transition committee decided some idea like they still consultant the population. I hear that, and I also heard Mr. Mayor saying the reason why you decided like to keep Shediac? Is it the bilingual? They recognize that traditional, like the Francophone say Shediac. When we look at because of the reputation of the town, I think frankly it's not the fact to have an accent or not. And the beaches are making our reputation, but so what I think like is not to be able like to show like a proudness of an important part of the population, the Acadian Francophone, as I said, like since the beginning of the we say Shediac. That's what we've been saying for 125 years, and that's why it was written in the on a regular basis. I've been in Shediac for 40 years. I get some visitors in the summer, and people say, "How come you don't have an accent on Shediac?" We do not know, we do not understand. So the municipal, it goes from municipal council to municipal council, seem to be stubborn. We do not understand. So, yeah, why is it bothers us with an accent? Because of the reputation, as I said, it's not the accent, it's the beach that does our reputation. It's hard to understand. Other argument for the Decision Committee would to respect like the Aboriginal First Nation. I'm sure I'm not saying anything new. Like when the European came to them, like the Aboriginal nation, they did not write, so they wouldn't have put any accent or not. So the name first is under old European maps under different spelling. If you see like old maps, and of course also in the British card, well, of course like the British would not put an accent. My mother-in-law, she would be 111 years old if she was still alive today, was saying like when she was young, Shediac would just call Judaic with an accent, and previously Judaic. On the town's website, there's a brief history that is showing that the region was called La Batua. So the name of the region changed several times, and once again today. So why today, like we do not want to change the name, including and to respect like the Francophone population, and to deny the two bilingual uh, names as Grandfall did. Imagine the town Quebec without an accent. Quebec. It's a Aboriginal name, and we would have to write Quebec without an accent because Quebec is for Aboriginal. Nobody would think of removing the accent from the town Quebec. So what do you think, people? Shediac. So what do we do? Like we know like the majority of the Francophone saying Shediac. So my question is, how many Aboriginal communicate with the transition committee to express their concern that we might have to add an accent in Shediac? The transition committee in this decision simply recognize like the word Shediac is a word of Aboriginal descent, and it has several. I agree. I'm not the expert, but several. I'm just telling you that was what was discussed. That's it. That's all I'm. Councillor Paul, do you have anything else to add? I know, like you do not like. I when that's the discussion we had. They had a couple of proposals, Shediac, Shediac Bay, Shediac River. It was more English than what we expected. And Maurice Basque was from the Centre d'études acadiennes. It's responsible of toponymy, and he had the mandate also for Francophone community to study like Cap Acadie, Beau Soleil, so and Shediac. So as you know, like the First Nation, no accent. We had to rely on some things. What is the concern with the accent aigu? So I think a lot of people. So what's bothering you with the accent aigu? What's it bothering to add? Is it because it will cost too much to redo like all like the banners, and that's what we don't understand. The question was discussed in an accent during a meeting of the transition committee, and the support was not there, and there was no reason.
Ça a pas été de longues
There were not very long discussion,
Le comité de transition a pris
so the transition committee took some time to discuss it.
moi, je peux vous relater
That's all. Like, I hear all of this, so it's really deceiving. I know I'm saying that's not the answer. That's what I have to say. I hear that, but what I hear, like, there's no reason. It's what's sad. That's your interpretation. I have to remind you, like, the name of does not belong to municipal council and the transition committee. The name belongs to the population living committee. I mentioned it in my letter that I sent you, and I think I find it very sad because it's something we are missing, an opportunity of history missing. It has an impact today and for the next generations. So as a citizen, of course, so my wish would be, because the government announced it's not set in stone, like there's still a possibility to consult the population, so there would be a possibility to open the file. So if ever a councillor has some kind of doubt in the matter, I would invite you to make a motion and ask that we will consider it again. I just wanted to express, like, my sadness of in this file. Just a comment, Rachel. Just to inform the other council member, myself, Jade. So we are informing the step OC, so they get the information. So I understand those. It's not only the transition committee; it's all of you. Thank you. And each of them members discuss with their LST committee. Thank you. The second file, was the question of pesticides, and before to do my presentation, I would just to show, like, the students of the LGR school. They heard Jose on the radio, and they said, they communicate with us. We would like to help you. We would like to support you. So I just want to show you. So they prepare those small banners and the T-shirt I'm wearing. We have bags, and we sell them $5 each. So I sell some bags. If at the end of the meeting you want to encourage people, like, to put these on their lawns. So, second file I wanted to mention is a pesticide, the bylaw. I just wanted to share first to start. Lately, I heard on the radio, like Radio Canada. It's an artist from Gaspé. She wrote, like, a theater play, and the theater play it's on the beluga whales. So she's interested by those whales. So it's a play. All the texts, and these are things like politicians really said about 60 years ago. Maybe a little bit more, like 60 years ago, we noticed that the salmon and codfish were declining. They were disappearing. At the federal level, well, the government authorized, like, so the fishermen to have some guns on their boat and kill beluga whales, and the federal government also asked some vessels to kill, like, the beluga. So it took a biologist from Europe, like, to like those beluga whale, those type of whale do not eat salmon or codfish, so stop killing them and destroy them. So when we hear the text of the theater play, it's quite surprising to see, like, the lack of knowledge of those politicians, lack of vision, and the respect with nature. And the reason I'm mentioning it this evening, I consider, like, we're still at war against nature. To spray a pesticide is throwing, like, small bombs. It's like having machine guns and against dandelions. It's not only dandelions, there's insects, water, and also water course. We had a presentation, so we felt like the government is still is not. There's still some thing to specify like, for the protection of water protection. So the sea water and human health. So lately, I had a discussion with a retired biologist from DFO, and he told me like in 15 it was part of a research team, and they look at the cause of the decline of wild salmon. At at one time you could feel like could fish wild it was a question. It was because of pesticide. But however, nothing changed because we have important lobby like for pesticides, forest industry, and nothing was done. So for codfish, salmon, we cannot fish codfish and salmon, and now we cannot fish herring and mackerel, shrimp. Everything is declining, and we stopped several of those fisheries. Just imagine, like the Shediac reputation, if the lobster fishery would disappear. If the water is so polluted, see, we cannot swim. Science fiction. However, the scientifics are warning us. They've been warning us for decades. Like the sea is experiencing problems. Some species are disappearing from the sea. And once again, I do not understand like how you are saying like this foul in the bylaw, like for forbidding like the prohibiting use of perplex. So we are perplexed with this file, so we will not get back OC on this. But we understood like several from you, they're against. So because you're spraying your lawns or you have other reasons, and some of them like they were very transparent. Mr. O'Brien, Mrs. Cormier, and the Environment Committee that you said you are against the bylaw. The others, well, you're saying like you are supporting us, but when it comes to vote, you're siding with those against. So it's deceiving, saying you're not consequent with what you're saying. This evening, I would like to reiterate some concerns that were expressed and on which we feel there was no follow-up was done. We feel that we need, like in the municipalities, and some of them will become a municipality of close to 10,000 people. If you remember, like the mandate, as you mentioned, of the transition committee, we need a real environment committee with a real mandate, not only like a letter of intent. We need a committee organized with operating structure, with an agenda, minutes, vision, and goals to be reached. And as a citizen, uh, I should have access to those documents. So the Environment Committee, we're wondering, is it just something, will it stop by itself? Will it die? Or what are the intent of the municipal council, like regarding the Environment Committee? So will we make sure to have a real committee with a real mandate? As I said, like a operational structure. So that's one thing I would like to get an answer this evening. Mrs. Poirier, the only thing I can do in terms of the Environment Committee, well, is essentially comprised according to similar to other municipal committees, nothing different. The subject is different. So we have a protection committee, which is, we have can put it like in we have planning, economic development, linguistic landscape, affordable housing committee. So these are often it's a combination of the council members and citizens, and depending also on the citizens. So they will be there to look at their experience, their knowledge, and it's all these are all volunteers. So they want to contribute. They do it out of their heart, and I thank you and I thank them very much. So the models from another municipality. Farnham.
C'était pas juste la prononciation.
You,
Je vous remercie pour ça.
thank you for this, but
Comme dit, le comité
as I said, like the committee was done,
après mon élection en
was created after my election in 2019. Prior to 2019, there was none,
depuis, à mes connaissances.
to my knowledge. So the committee is developing is developing what they would like to do. So a lot of discussion because the environment issue is it's very broad. One of the things like they focus after having a couple of discussion, it was on pesticide, but the committee will also be will tackle other files because it took some time as asked by the municipal council. Is the committee still in operation? Yes. Do they meet? Yes, they meet. These are not a meeting. It's not like once or twice a week. Like they go as we for its own development, the same as other committees. Like the lobster festival, do not meet every week, or the committee for protection committee. They meet and sometimes you have people around the table. The availability, like 1 week or sometimes it's a challenge, like for us as a council members and all. So we do what we can. Since we've been attending the meeting, I discovered how the committees are created and how they work. And the community, they always like a report like to the municipal council. So my reflection is, I'm wondering since the municipality is growing, like if I understand well, like the committee do not have a mandate, so they have a letter of intent. So we saw like the letter of intent that was. It brings to my next point. Maybe it would be it might be time for the council to reflect on how we create the committee and how they work. So one thing that we had suggested, like we were very surprised, like is your mandate? It's part of our regulation, and I understand, like. Around the table, like who will vote like against a list of person like you presented probably. These mean like these are the most knowledgeable people. So I don't think it's very democratic for a process. So we might be able to get people with more knowledge and that was in order to democratize the process. Like the mayor could not maybe ask the council to give one name. For the mayor could maybe ask another that forbid like a member of the council to suggest name. And often I ask them, if you know individual on interested by X subject, if you know someone. I do not everyone in municipalities of in southeastern New Brunswick. I know quite a few individuals, but I have 8 other members, and they are there to work together in order to go forward on some files. So this is a team effort to go forward on any files. I have some experience on affordable housing because of my profession. I work in the area, so. Yes, I know. I have several contacts, but if I had someone else in another family protection, we were talking for the fire station. I'm no expert. I'm looking for some individuals with more experience. So as of now, that's how we work, and that's how the former mayor works. So I'm just wondering, like. Environment Committee, they moved the creation of that committee, so we were we were going to the meetings, and when we're very happy that Paul Roger, like they were interested to be part of the committee. And of course, we were not invited to be part of the committee, but and it's up to the council to decide. But we're still wondering, like, we are citizens, we are there, and we see them. We are interested by the environment, and we want to participate and collaborate. If we said, Roger, we would be interested to participate. I'm not sure, like, in other. What I'm trying to say, like, they should have some kind of a call at large for members. We create a committee so the interested citizen. I do not expect because I want to be part of the committee, I will be chosen, but we could submit our application. Say I'm interested. So what I was told, the mayor decides. That's what we were told, and that yes.
Qui suggère des notes au comité.
So I suggest some names. So this is my point to see, like, in my opinion, it's not very democratic. In my opinion, like, the mayor, it's not because it's Roger Casey. Like, any individuals, like, should want to ask its councillor, give me your list, and then we could ask with different newsletters. Do we have any interested citizen? Because I don't think there's a lot of citizens interested, and when some are just take the opportunity, we are there.
Je vous remercie pour la suggestion.
Yes, so thank you, Mrs. Poirier, for your suggestion. My next item.
C'est Mme Poirier qui parle.
Yeah, Mrs. Poirier is talking. I apologize. So my next item, you had voted to do some education, like, with the population, instead of go forward with to start with go with a bylaw. We decided to educate the population on pesticide. I see not. Maybe there were some I did not heard anything.
Le conseil municipal
The municipal council retained the service
Saint-Vincent.
of the watershed association of the Shediac, of Greater Shediac, sorry.
C'est une des résolutions.
And it's one of the resolution we have this evening. My next sentence.
De stratégie.
By the way, in my opinion, it's not acceptable, like, to really your responsibility on the watershed. We got them for the expertise instead of doing it ourselves. But I'm sure. I think it's good to have a collaboration with the watershed, but I think it's important for the environment committee, with the help by the rest of the council, like, we have a strong environment committee, and active and dynamic, like the watershed. Yes, but the watershed, I know Jolene, her plate is full. So you're just giving another file.
C'est pas. Je comprends, Mme.
And I understand, Mrs. Poirier.
C'est un contrat que nous faisons avec eux.
It's a contract with them, so they deliver the same we would do with anyone else.
Nous n'avons pas l'expertise.
We do not have the expertise internally on this file.
Le directeur général est un directeur général, le directeur des travaux publics.
And
Donc, on a été chercher
so that's why we look
aider avec ce mandat-là que le conseil
to help with us mandate, like they wanted to do.
municipal de faire. Donc,
So they voted to do so. So they develop a communication strategy
promouvoir, c'est
to promote those good practices.
avec ce
There's a price coming in, and that price also we will approve this evening. There's a price tag, so
ça que le conseil municipal a dit.
so that's how the council decided to process. I think it's important to. So the municipality has an environment committee and on this committee, so we get knowledgeable individual resource people.
C'est peut-être des choses qu'on
So it might be thing we'll be looking at in the future, and it's not for the resolution. So these are two things. But I hope it will not be put aside. So it's important to have an environment committee that's in operation. I understood your opinion. I attended like the round tables or around Ecovision 2023, 2025. And I find it unfortunate because for several years, like there was a lot of good work that was done, like with Ecovision 2025. A lot of files that were identified and it did not go anywhere. Ecovision 2025, it's a collaboration between the three municipalities. Us will be two after next year, but
Chédiac, Beaubassin
Shediac,
Est,
Beaubassin Est, and Cap-Pelé. It's a strategy we developed together, and it's a strategy we had retained the services of consultant to do this. So it was a lot of work to create it. It was a few years ago, and of course with the COVID, and not to always blame it, but it did not help like to accelerate everything, and we're aware of this. So Ecovision 2025 is done by the two association, watershed association, the one for Shediac and H2O. And also, Shediac has someone taking care of economic development. So the environment today is so important. If the municipal council do not feel like no staff or a municipal council that has the knowledge or the resources, it might be something also to hire someone maybe for the environment. So that would include sustainable development, because the environment have an impacts all aspects. We mentioned water development, residential development. Yes, it's a very broad. We have to talk also development in terms of environment today. And anyway, they were talking about keeping trees, and it might be a good opportunity of the municipality to hire someone that would be responsible for the environment in a broader perspective. I'm just suggesting. I hope it will not be collecting dust. I know you have a lot of things to do, so I'm going. I was made aware like the town send a letter to a citizen. We kept like we left an island of we send a letter. It's a citizen that they send a letter because he left part of his lawn like not mowed. Like I think it was on another street. Someone he just kept like maybe just a little spot last year, and this year like he received a letter from the letter. He would have a fine in 24 hours if he did not mow his lawn. So I thought like it's reverse. So a responsible citizen would get a fine. So I was hearing on the radio like a science show. We have to change our habit. We should keep like some spots like with the just the nature. So that's what the insect needs. So we're allowing people like against a war against it to spray some poison, but some were leaving just a little spot like for insects, like and we send them a letter and threaten them. No, I think it's completely reversed. All I can indicate, I'm not aware of this situation. It's not brought to my attention. It will be got to the bylaw officer, but there is a bylaw on the height of grass. Like I think it's been 2 or 3, at least for a year, and I'm aware because I authorized it. But the reason we got several complaints. We have a bylaw, and the council allowed during May, like we would not cut the, but did not allow for islands after, and we got several complaints. It's my job as a bylaw officer to add. It's not threat. It's not threat. Like it's just saying the consequences. It's my opinion. Might be something we should rethink instead of. But yes, we have a bylaw, but yeah, we do not have the choice. So maybe to have a reflection on the to the light of the scientific knowledge. So do we still want to have a thank you? Anything else? You voted also to get a guest from Tracadie to answer your question. Was he invited? No, not yet. It will be part of the communication strategy. So, to conclude, well, I think the file on the pesticide file, I feel that I think there's a lot of indifference, and I'm saying maybe we should create like a real environment committee, or as for the file of the, you created a committee for to water access, like for canoes and boats. I think to create a committee that would work on the file of pesticide, because for years we had a bylaw and it was removed, and it's unacceptable. Like the status quo is not acceptable. So I hope that around the table there is someone will say maybe we should at least to strike a committee, at least to look seriously on this file, the pesticide file. And that shouldn't be put on a shelf somewhere. Thank you. Thanks for your discussion and your presentation. And I'm not saying anything new like the municipal council. I'll refer the question to the environment committee. The environment committee did its work, went back with a recommendation. The municipal council adopted like the communication strategy that will should come out soon. So it's how the municipal council dealt with this fight. I know that's not your preference, but it is what it is. Have a good evening. My point, I know like around the people, there's still some councillors, they told us they had concern like with the use of pesticides, but it was to encourage them to not abandon the fowl, and maybe to make one step in the process. Thank you for your patience, and have a good evening. Next item, 7.1. Correspondence. Well, first correspondence, well, it's Mrs. Danielle Routier. It's concerning like the pesticide file. This correspondence, well, it concerned like it's on the name of Shediac, the same points. Next correspondence, LCL excavation is to modify the hours to start the work earlier than the bylaw and noise. They would like to start from Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. because Mark explained the reason is to make the project go faster. So we need a resolution like to accept the exemption on the noise bylaw. Councillor Paul, I move that we accept like the request from the company so to make the work go faster. Moved by Councillor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Paul. Questions on the motion? Any information? No, it's quite clear. All those in favor saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. The next one is from David Finley. It's sponsored. It's from Legion 30th Branch Road 3. They would like to start like the projects on air cadets. With the pandemic, it was set aside. So they're asking us like to have like a contact person to start this project again. So they want to start it back like September. So is it in your field, Denis, or? So they communicated with me. I know there were some work to done, and I think Councillor Sidby gave some support, but was it not the Shediac residents? So they sent some letters with 92, 97, and Councillor Paul was in place. And I think at the time there was some kind of like a MOU that existed. So the Legion was always behind the cadets, and I think they want to put it in place like 20 years later. So I mentioned it. I would if you mandate my department, but at the time, well, so the council members, so it's outside your discretion. So if they need some help or assistance, well, we would be able to maybe give them a hand. Paul, yes, it's an excellent program. Yes, because I don't know if it changes. So what, in short, like the cadet corps has adequate housing and training accommodation training program. So at the time, like, so it was more accessible. So if we commit to this, like the cadet to have a spot, and the second one, I think we never gave anything to provide like the finances to carry the activity, just to make sure, like, if we take it seriously, we find a cadet, which is an excellent program, that there's still like an agreement with the gymnasium. Or I think with them they communicate with this. It's a challenge to have the LJR school. There are some costs associated because if the janitor is not there, so if they want to have access, like when the district office moves, so we're all storing like their things there temporarily, but it's been there for 3 years, so I think they have a challenge to find a local. So just to make sure, I support the program. So you could start the discussion. So they would have to start the discussion with the cadets to see what we can do as MOU. Perfect. Councillor Paul, so making the motion for MOU, and maybe to go back once, so some negotiating with the seconded by Councillor Sylvie Boudreau. All those in favor say aye, against nay. Carried. And the last letter is from three members of Parliament, MP. So they're looking for three main issues that are for the town, for the economic development. So they consider us as a rural community. So they would like to recognize they would like to get like the three most important issues on economic development. Interesting. So they wish to have the discussion session, three councillors. So I think it's another part of the part of the country, because these are not New Brunswick MLAs, not MLAs, but MPs. And nothing I would see, but thank you, Mr. In a case like this one, so are you asking us to give us some idea, or so with the director? We can, if you have any ideas, just let us know, and we will send like the list of issues. No, if you have no idea, you don't. So we would answer. They probably have issues like for affordable housing, transportation, affordable transportation. 8, a standing committee report, protection services. So we have like the RCMP report, like the quarterly report. It goes from January 2022 to March 2022, so it's every 3 months. It's for information purposes. So this document is discussed with the public safety at the Regional Service Commission, because it comprises not only like the Shediac detachment, but the detachment Riverview, the Sackville detachment, and I think Irishtown too, Maple Hills, and yeah, and so it's discussed there. And I think also the Public Safety Committee of the Regional Service Commission, like its mandate, will change with this reform. So according to from what I've seen, but at least it gives us like some information on the status of the activities in the police force here in Shediac. If ever you have question, you can forward it to the Protection Committee, because we're already always in contact with them. Like the executive, the general manager, like no report, recommendation for regional service, we have none. unfinished business. We have none by the municipal administration. So there was a file like for the community garden. No decision was made at the plenary, like on the use of the Jubilee Park. And still today, I don't know if the council would like to take a decision or so with the
Les informations, Madame
so with the information we had like from the Department of Environment, like
de zone
in a zone A, like a community garden is no, it's a no, it's not allowed. So
permet d'une zone B aussi.
it could be allowed in zone B or C.
Chose qu'il faut
One thing like we have to address with this. So
avec ça,
so
que l'administration a
I knew the administration met with the people from the community garden last week so to give those information, and we were not aware like that the evening they came in. So
on pourrait prendre une motion
so we could have a motion this evening. Unfortunately,
pour procéder
we will not be able to proceed. Even if we wanted to, we can't. Because of the at Jubilee Park, because of the proximity of Wellfield, I will move that this year we do not go ahead with the community garden for seconded by
je prendrai juste un appui.
Annika seconded. So Sylvie Colette Boudreau and
Conseiller Peter,
Councillor Peter.
je suis au courant du dossier.
So you're more aware of the file. So community garden is definite will not go against the Department of Environment, but we can make a motion. But it's really taken for granted, like the Jubilee Park will not be the spot. So there is a meeting, an emergency meeting tomorrow evening to know like where they will go, what they will do with the assets and all. But they realize it's not anyone's fault. Like the environmental, I'm one of them that would not support. After hearing like we're even more informed this evening. So I think it's really important. So we should get some developments tomorrow evening. So the next meeting is the end of June, so there might be a request or something. But so the Jubilee Park. There's no reason to make a motion because they will not go like against the Department of Environment.
Si vous voulez procéder avec la motion,
If we want to proceed with the motion, well, we have a motion on the table,
seconde,
seconded by
Sylvie avait secondé déjà.
Sylvie.
C'est bon. Donc, c'est un petit peu dans un sens une motion.
In the sense, like it's only a formality.
Tous en faveur, on diront oui.
All those in favor saying aye, against nay, adopted.
Comme le conseil avait déjà dit auprès du Jean
As the councillor said, well,
on est prêt à essayer de les aider dans la mesure que nous,
we can help as much as we can, but they might have to look with something else. Like
on attendra pour d'autres nouvelles.
we'll be waiting for news.
Ils ont reçu le message également de la
And they receive also the message to approach like the municipal administration, maybe to have some plan or
telle action qui pourrait être prise.
an action that could be taken, like to remove the assets and somewhere else. So we'll see what
Qu'est-ce qui l'avenir leur réserve.
we'll see what the future has in hand. We're there to help them.
Parfait. Donc,
So perfect.
discussion aux affaires
Introduction to new business.
12.1, l'étude de
The 12.1, the feasibility study, like the arena project. Is it Mr. Denis will go through like Denis or Gilles? So Denis, maybe you can start. So the plenary last week, like we brought the intent to go forward with the study. So we're bringing it this evening, so we can bring a resolution on June 27th. So it was your introduction. As Gilles explained, I think we had discussion around the table. So we want an official mandate. So what we could do and what we would bring, it would be like we were looking for a feasibility study, like what we could do, like for a project. So we'll bring a resolution in that sense and to see what we want us to do and what to the existing arena. So I think a feasibility study and what is the capacity of the municipality to do those projects.
Parfait.
Perfect.
Ça va être dans 2 semaines.
So it should be in 2 weeks. So if you agree also, we would bring also in the same resolution to cancel the contribution like for the Recuro tourism project, like you remember, with Mr. Desjardins would have come in and would have consent to give an amount in the municipality, but this project is not going forward. So we discussed with the person, we did the presentation, so nothing's going forward. So we wouldn't want to do like two studies like at the same time. So if you agree, we would bring the resolution. So the amount was not released yet. So if you agree, well, this amount that was granted,
Conseil Paul?
Councillor Paul, in this case, so the direction is it to go forward with the study and decide if we proceed with the study. So this is my question, like.
Donc, tout de suite, on a 2 millions.
So for now, we had 2 millions, the 5-year plan, like for 2023. So what we want to know, like, do we invest like 2 millions in the arena that we have now, or you want to wait 4 or 5 years and we wait something new with a new infrastructure? So that's what we want to know from you. And the idea also is to bring also feasibility study for the budget discussion for 2023 because it could cost maybe like 150,000. Do not take a decision at the end of June without knowing the cost, how much it would cost. We know like what would be the wish of the council, like to win the versus invest in 2 million in an aging building.
Les fils prennent de l'âge, mes genoux prennent de l'âge.
So the building is is aging. I think we're about the same age. So my knees.
C'est bien, c'est on verra ça.
So we will have this for the next meeting.
Numéro 13.
13. A formation request by Councilman. I don't know if you have any questions. Usually, yes.
Conseil Sylvie,
Councilor Sylvie.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Plusieurs personnes m'ont dit
Several people asked me that when we would we'd like the maintain like our flower pots in the municipality. So I asked a question to Danny and Mr. Bello. So we were told, just to make public, everybody knows that they should be starting on Sunday, and they're starting at Rotary Park in my small head. Pascal Poirier is Rotary Park. So, and they will do it over the next couple of years if the weather allows. So they will continue over the next couple of weeks in order to embellish our municipalities. So they will start this Sunday. They started, and they're continuing this week too. So it may be that, yeah, but the bad, not the right Sunday.
donc ça, puis ça, c'est une entreprise qui fait ça.
It's a business doing it, right?
OK.
So we hire like a person like just to weed like all the flower beds like in downtown Shediac.
Prochain, conseiller jeunesse.
Councillor Janice. Thank you, Miss. I got a call from a citizen today, and I think maybe another council is concerning a problem with the lights at Parley Beach. I think was already discussed, like the traffic lights. There's one sign, like, I don't know if it's west or east. So when people park, the people do not park close enough to the line, so it did not start like, so the magic eye does not catch them. So and they're always missing their turn, like to turn. So the citizen told me like it came to the council last year, and I think we did some modification, but it's still being done. And then the citizen told me last week when I was the third car, and I had to get out of my car and tell the first car to go to move, like, because it was the first time and they never had their turn. So I asked a few councillors, and I asked to call the town to make my complaint. So it's documented in the system. So he said like there was a major cost to do it, but it's something that has to be working well. Like you need like a good, light traffic lights. So there were two problems. We had a lot of complaints from the people getting out of Parley Beach. So after we had our mill and pave it, so the complaints started to come in. Mill and pave. They painted like there was a line. So these are not magic eyes, like a pressure thing, like devices on the pave. So
OK, oui. Donc, sur la plage Parley,
at Parley Beach, we had the problem. People getting out of Parley Beach, or it would not start, and we had several complaints. So we added a second loop on this one. Since then, well, I think we got one complaint, but I thought because the lines were not painted again, then maybe like they were too far, because maybe two loops, like you need to be really far from the white line, so for it not to start. So it should be working. It was on Main Street. I know, like it. That's the first problem. We got several complaints. Main Street, we did not get a whole lot of complaints. I think it's one person that complained, but we went to see today, and so the foreman parked, and he was looking at the light to see like if it happened, and he started him again. We also have a sign to see people like to go for get close to the lines on Main Street. There's already some sign on the two directions, like saying people like go on the line.
ça fonctionne.
It seems to be working, but if you want us to add a second loop, but there will be some costs associated. It can be costly, but I don't know. It's only a couple of individuals. If it's a problem, maybe we should look at complain, because the lines were painted that the right people essentially should park at the right spot. I think it's a section, a lot of people with RVs. I think people, they're more like concerned like to stop at the line. There's a lot of, and I think it has an impact. Maybe we just got like one complaint, but they said Sunday like several times, like it's been noticing, because it's from that area. So he said Sunday like the cars were backed up at Irving, and we're not even in the summer, so I don't know if maybe we want to do some kind of analysis
On peut faire une analyse, on peut s'assurer que ça répond tout au TAC, puis
and
plus prudence.
if you want to be more careful, we could add a second loop. If that's what I can bring your budget, how much it will cost, and all of that. And with the 9, should it be moved because of the region, or the type of the vehicles? But yeah, we could.
Ça, c'est la province pour
Yeah, it's the province, like who's responsible to the mill and pave and paint the lines. So
donc, il y avait mesuré ce qu'étaient les.
so they measured the loops in the past, and see like the camping RVs, like, so there might be some improvements to be done. Another question. Because of those loop also, like for the summer, when Parley Beach is more active and when trailers, can we put some timers or sensors instead of loops? It would have to go to study this. Maybe one thing we can do, like to look at that to a subject and have a specific mandate, like to do a traffic count at the intersection to see like if there are some improvement to be made. But it's a more in-depth analysis. But if you want to give us the mandate, well, I think it would be worthwhile, like to. Council Paul, you had like the same. So you're good to see, which is SN West. So that's what she said exactly.
Parfait.
Do we need a motion?
Motion pour les
we can do a motion like to look maybe further, investigate.
On suffira à l'administration d'utiliser le
We'll rely on the administration to use their right adjustment. I think we find the problem, and yeah,
il y a vraiment pas grand-chose.
if there's not a whole lot to do, at least
La vie serait comme
even if
pas tout à fait grand-chose à faire là.
there's not a whole lot to do, but if you wish to do so, we could go above and beyond. But what would be the cost? So
Demander à l'administration de regarder.
to give the mandate to administration to look at this issue. Is that as it is? Yeah.
Posé par le conseiller Janice Cormier.
Moved by Councillor Janice Boudreau, second Councillor Patricia.
Question plus?
Question. To add to Councillor Jan, I asked a question to Margot, and because often Cornwall, I get out 2 or 3 times a day, 2 or 3 times a week. Like, is this something we could look at when when some work? Or? Not for loop. Is the line people do not stop there? Is it the same problem we're experiencing?
Apparemment, c'est plus populaire qu'on croyait.
Seems it's more popular. The people do not stop at the line. So what do we do so people stop? Maybe put one farther. I don't know. Like. So, yeah, a car is Cornwall. So we were all like crammed.
Et toi, tu voulais virer.
And you wanted to turn. Yeah, it's there. So it's only a red-hander. It's not if the car like in front of you. So I will cross like it.
Donc, toi, ça venait jamais là.
So it would never come green because the car was going straight. I could not go. So I cannot make a right.
Le verre arrive. Même tant que le verre est sur le bon, je suis pas un expert là-dedans.
I'm not an expert, but no. 2 or 3 times a week, it's just not turning.
Je crois que tu as fait.
We'll do it for Parley first, and then we'll look at Cornwall with the work. I think this work, I don't know if it. Yeah, we might be able to do something there. If it comes to Shediac, it's happening elsewhere, everywhere. I think with the study, it might. There might be other ways too, like to
Construire
to
intersection.
to build an intersection maybe with lights, traffic lights, which is more
Les gens se de la misère, on perd une.
for people who have a hard time. So. Okay, so, sorry, they're difficult to follow because everybody's talking at once. So yeah, they're just like chatting amongst themselves. It's just if we're doing some work, but because I remember Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the last month I saw a study for Cornwall and Huntington and Main Street, and it was maybe proposed that would have slip lane or and traffic circle, but I didn't know where it came from. But is it something that's supposed to be part of the work? So I saw in this report, well, I saw those existing conditions. It's okay, but it was part of the 5-year plan, like for next year. So at least it's on the radar. If we have something, and we will have more circulation, so we have to do something. So we'll start with Pointe du Chêne and Cornwall Point. If ever we do something like. Thank you, Mark. So the motion to mandate the administration to look at this. Moved by Councillor Janice, seconded by Councillor. All those in favor saying aye, against nay, motion carried. Thank you.
Autre chose, Janice?
Anything else? No? Okay.
Conseiller Émile?
Councillor Emile.
Ma demande de renseignement,
My request also has to do with the library. A couple of weeks ago, like the library, they had a book sale at just the activity center here. And I went there and I did some volunteer work with them, and they told me like the doors did not work properly. Yeah, I mean the doors at the back, they did not work properly. Like they have a hard time opening them, and also like the button for wheelchair it doesn't work. So and there's two like wires sticking out of the box. So and I thought like they were saying, and I had to work with them, and every time somebody would come in and to buy some books, like, I would have to help them. And someone would come with a wheelchair, like the button is not even there. So can we mention it maybe to the owner, maybe because these things has to do like they have to meet the bill. It's the building code, so it's something. Somebody's coming with a wheelchair. I think it's something to mention to the landlord. I know the second unit for HVAC was installed, so the owner is taking action, but yeah, usually just talk to Regis, like he's working for the landlord, like he has direct contact. Do I have to contact him himself, like? So yes, send an email like with the details, and I'll contact. Yeah. So we are by law. Oops. Okay. The first one is 14.1, second reading of the bylaw number 22-23, garbage collection and disposal bylaw. Councillor Sidby. Thank you. Second reading of bylaw 22-22, garbage collection and disposal bylaw. Whereas Town Council may dispense with the reading of a bylaw, but in its entirety when not notice has been published in a newspaper having general circulation in the municipality or posted on an internet site maintained by the municipality in accordance with the Local Governance Act. Whereas Council is satisfied that the notices have been published on the website to comply with the requirements of the Local Governance Act. Therefore, be it resolved that the second reading of bylaw number 22-23, a bylaw to amend the bylaw relating to the collection and disposal of waste in the town of Shediac, be given by title and section number only. I shall move, Mr. Mayor, moved by Councillor Sylvie Colette-Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Bourque-Chevary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Carried. Yes. By law, the 22-3, by the one definition. Councillor Sylvie, I move that we accept the reading by law 22-22 be given second reading by title only, seconded by Councillor Bourque-Chevary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Number 14.2. Mr. Deputy Mayor, yes. Thank you. First reading of bylaw number Z-14-44-45Z, a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw. That a bylaw entitled bylaw number Z-14-44-45Z, a bylaw amending the zoning bylaw in the town of Shediac, be authorized for introduction and that it be given first reading by title. I shall move. Moved by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Berda, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. Questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Yes, clerk, bylaw number Z-14-44 by title, amending the zoning bylaw in the town of Shediac. I move that we accept the first reading bylaw Z-14-44-45Z by title, moved by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Berda, seconded by Jean-Paul Boudreau. Questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Now we are at item 15.1. So, Councillor Germain, if you can read it, the thing. Cancellation of meeting. Be it resolved that plenary meeting scheduled for July 4th and August 1st, 2022, as well as the regular meeting scheduled for July 11 and 25 and August 15 be cancelled to the vacation of elected. A special meeting could be called if the need arises. I shall move, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Germain Gadot, seconded by Sylvie Colette Boudreau. Questions on the motion? All those in favor saying 5 say aye. Against nay. Motion carried. 15.2 Beaubridge, active transportation. Yes. That the council approved to proceed with. That the council approved to proceed with the addition of a multi-purpose trail on Beaubridge Street to ensure the safety of cyclists who will have to pass through the roundabout on Chesley Street, and that the funds for this project, estimated $50,000, be released from the funds 1-28 to now new sidewalk. Moved by Councillor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin. Question. Denis has this file. Where exactly? Because the trail, is it already the roundabout, and you decided it would go to Riverside Bride? I'm just curious. Because we were notified like that we opened the Bow Bridge. It was not opened by the developer not too long ago. So myself and the Mark Department, we did an analysis of how we would get into the roundabout. So technically, like a bicycle cannot get into a roundabout. So we have a sidewalk. So we wanted to simplify it. So we are proposing like multi-purpose trails for people who are walking or in bicycles. So we're just continuing like the paved trail, like just to join like the sidewalk a little bit farther off Beaubridge Street. So we're just combining it. So the sidewalk from Sackville up to until Rachet Street. So it will be. So it's not replacing like the expansion. So no, it does not replace. So it's only a small section, like the two, to go from the roundabout. So we're expanding like the trail, just to model a bit further than. So what's happening? There is a bike lane, so we'll call it like that. So the bike lane has to go somewhere. So technically, a bike cannot go on. So the only option would be to the roundabout. So we will modify it and do like just to accommodate the two of them. If not, we would have a sidewalk, one beside another. So we're trying to combine everything together and have one side. So my concept is sidewalk. Will it be the same as the other one? Well, but most of it, like of this distance, yes, we did like the sidewalk up to Rachet. So the developer will continue this sidewalk. Maybe for 90%, it's only the last little part, like where the bicycle. So once you're on the street, like when you're driving, so before you get on the roundabout, we will drop the curve so that the bicycle can get on the new section. So the new sidewalk made by the developer will not stop to the new, yeah. We could provide you with some kind of a sketch because I saw a sketch. Are we building a sidewalk and a trail? So we'll combine them together just for a short distance. It's easier for snow removal. So we simplify the concept. So my concern, the history and context, like to replace like the existing sidewalk. There's a quick section that will be removed. Thank you. That's it. So, moved by Councillor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin. All those in favor saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. 15.3 Distribution of funds. Councillor Patricia. Thank you, Mr. May. Distribution of Fund Policy 12-15-A. that the town council approve the amount of the following arts, culture, and heritage grant application and mandates the administration to issue checks for 70% of the approved amounts as stipulated in policy 12-15-A, and that the remaining 30% be held back until a final report is accepted. Ciné Relève $3,000, Ciné Shediac $2,500 for a total of $5,500. I shall move. Moved by Councillor Bourgeois, seconded by Councillor Janice Cormier. I only have a question. Ciné Relève, I know what they do. This is their activity. Ciné Shediac, which activity? So who contribute 2,000? I don't think they did over the last couple of years because of the pandemic. Like usually, like with the fall festival, like a series of film. It's like a film festival. So film festival, I would have understand. All those in favor signify saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. 15. That's one we might have a. Councillor Emile, you were the one supposed to read that resolution. It's the Wellfield Protection Program. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Shediac requests that the Department of Environment and Local Government designate Well 1, Chesley, Well 2, Beaubridge, Well 5, Victoria, and Well 6, Beaubridge, Well 9, La Rosette, Well 10, Harper, and Well 11, Geraldine, and the new Well 1200 Development Bellevue under the Wellfield Protected Area Designation Order - Clean Water Act. I shall move, Mr. Mayor, moved by Councillor Emile, seconded by Councillor Sylvie. We'll put it on the table and then we can debate. And I see we have a few questions, so. Councillor Patricia. Following like the presentation we had this evening and also the discussion and clarification concerning like I would like also maybe to make an amendment, and if we do not have like to include all those wells, I would remove like well number 12 because it's a zone in development. We could maybe organize after like. Yes, he's saying yes. The general manager was saying the same. So we could have like a friend. It's a friendly amendment. So moved by Councillor Emile and seconded by Councillor Sylvie. All of them except well number 12. So you're okay with that? So this is the motion at the table as amended. Any more questions? Councillor. Yes. Is it following the discussion and the concern we have with the town development? I see only one sentence. Drinking water is important, but one of them, like, it struck me. There is no immediate concern, like, on water. So that's what I want to know, like, to make sure, as Patricia mentioned. Is it only one well, like, that we have to be more careful, and the others we can discuss later, or is it what Patricia is recommending? So this is my concern. If saying yes, we have to rely on some to make this file go forward. All the wells are important because all the wells are part of the water distribution system, but 1, 10, and 5, 9, and 11, well, these are the one like the development. They've been in existence like for several years. So, well, 2 and 6. So those two wells, like they're not in function. They were like in a treatment plant. So they are at a lower volume. So one of them is not necessarily working. So we do not want to eliminate them because if we would go dig deeper, we could have water in the process for a new well. Well, and I think it takes a while, like to. So Bellevue, I think it took 2 years just to get like the permission like to develop it. And so well 2 and we cannot just abandon them because there's still some potential like to there. So we didn't want to be stuck in a situation and I know like the Villa Providence is in that area, so we just want to make sure that it doesn't cause like a restriction to this development. So 2 and 6 we do not want to abandon those wells, but the well 12 is in development. So if you want to put 5 on the table of well these ones would be so they are operating now. So the minimum I would go with those 5 for now. That would be the bare minimum. 1, 5, 10, and 11. 2 and 6 are there are treatment plants. So I could check with Sarah like concerning like the development of the if we designate them and so what will it cause a problem because it would be another region A. It's a project from the province, so maybe we could be look at this. Councillor Paul, want me to bring a resolution for the next? It might be a good idea. So me 1, 5, 10, yeah. Councillor Paul, if you want to ask, we table the resolution till the next meeting. I think you would get unanimous support. I want to make sure, so I have concern also, but. So once we have a resolution on the table, and there is a empty space, we can vote to table it. We can table it like to another meeting later at a later date. Is this your intention? Emile, would you like to table the resolution? I think that's what we would have to do, like table the resolution and seconded by Councillor Sylvie. And so we'll table the resolution until the meeting. It's because we want to get some information on the well 2 and 6 because if it's at the next meeting, that Mark brings, I was not able like to get information. It will be another meeting. Is it urgent pressing? But maybe that. But we really have to be well informed, not to make any damage. Yes, we'll table it to the next meeting when we get like some information to make an informed decision. To understand all the information in order to feel comfortable and well informed to take a resolution. A motion to table the resolution moved by Councillor Emile O'Brien, seconded by Sylvie Colette Boudreau. In favor, saying aye. Against, nay. Carried. Councillor Janice. And by the next meeting, could we have something? I would like to know like where are those wells and what is the region it includes? Yeah, there was a map in the presentation. It shows exactly like where they're located. I did not see the streets. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I should look back. So I had this with the wells and it was showing the one that was designated and the one that were not designated. So what would be ABC? So I would like to see like what is the. Yeah, I go on the iPad and yeah. Thanks for the discussion. So, next item. Sorry, communication strategy. Yes, communication strategy pesticides. That the Municipal Council approved the communication strategy awareness campaign on pesticides and that the expense be taken in the following accounts. 1-28257 Green Strategy, 15,000. 1-28253 Council Special Projects, 10,000. I shall move. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. just maybe a quick specification. Linear, so the amount should be reversed. So it would be 10,000 from the green strategy and 15 with the special project.
Fait, donc, tel qu'amendé.
So as amended, so these amounts just 15,000 would be from the special projects, and then the green strategy 15,000 10,000 green strategy. Moved by Councillor Janice Comley, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. Questions on the motion? Councillor Peter. I would like to make an amendment on this, that the awareness campaign has to be put on the website of the town. And I think it would be good information for people who want to know like exactly what's happening, because I think the document is well explained. So those strategies. So and I think if we would include it like on the website, people could really see like the progress that was done. I would make an amendment on this one.
Je comprends ton point de vue.
I understand also, Denis, in the communication strategy, is there any
Les moyens de communiquer sont prévus dans la stratégie.
so it's here, I do not have it right in front of me, but it debated as amended because we mentioned with Ecovision, but because the two other partners are involved. So I think we had we wanted to add it eventually on the website. It's just for it to be translated and corrected. So
Essentiellement, c'est prévu.
so essentially it's supposed to be there like in the strategy. So
Voter sur un chiffre.
we are voting also on a number. It's not how the strategy will be done. So it's only numbers. So these are two different things. That's the way I see it. We can do it after, but
Je la prendrai pas comme un amendement.
I will not take as an amendment, but it's like a motion.
Donc, proposé par le conseil.
Moved by Councillor Janice Comley, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Councillor Bro.
T'es encore allumé.
I move that the communication strategy developed with all the details has been to be posted on the town's website, so the people from the municipality can see like the plans and what will happen over the next few months and years. Moved by Councillor P. Seconded by Emile O'Brien.
Question sur la proposition.
Questions on the motion?
En plus des.
On top,
Je pense juste qu'on a un message auprès du.
I think also for message to the population, yes, all the details can be there, but we have to simplify the message. I think it will be part of the strategy, Denis. Yeah, okay.
C'est de donner
So it's
des choses qui sont simples.
give something simple and people can get into detail. No problem with that.
Si tu donnes rien que
But if you're only giving details, well,
un paquet de 45 pages,
if you have like 45 pages, you leave the first 5 pages and then.
seulement développer ça.
So,
Question,
Denis, could we share maybe like the deadlines, like the limit have? The first was research, like we mandated like research and yeah, it's a lot of research. Like we asked the Watershed Association, the low-hanging fruit, the small goals, things that we can do at least to start the ball rolling. So it will continue over the next year, and the first part is really like research, and we will develop some tools. And there's still a couple of little items we'll be able to start like tomorrow. Thank you very much. As moved by Councillor Bro and seconded by Councillor Emile, all those to post on the website. All those in favor saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. Next one, Councillor Peter. 15.6 modification to water account. LAND 649 Main Street. Whereas in an email received on May 17, 2022, Mr. Emery Landry informs us that since 2021, he no longer operates bed and breakfast, but rather an Airbnb. Therefore, be it resolved that the water account number LANDE 001 for the property located at 649 Main Street in Shediac be amended to cancel the arrears and interest in the amount of $720.68. I shall move, Miss. Moved by Councillor Peter Bro, by Councillor Jean Gana. All those questions on the motion, sorry. All those in favor signify saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. The 15.7 change of date for the public hearing scheduled for June 27, 2022 by law Z-14-44-45Z. That the date for the public hearing scheduled for June 27, 2022 for bylaws Z-14-44-45Z be cancelled and rescheduled to August 29, 2022. I shall move. Moved by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. And there's also a question. So, you know, 2 months. Did we have any request for public? Did we have any public audience? But the deadline, I think, we had a little challenges with, and we want to have more time, because we really want to inform the developers that this is coming. So I think we missed the deadline by 1 day or 1 day. So we'd rather delay the public audience, and we'll be able to better inform the developers. So it's a 2 full months. It will not affect it impact. It's like a developer who has to work 2 months for a public audience. No, will not affect. No. On the contrary, the developer right now will have to adjust. So yeah, no, I don't think it will have. I thought it was quite far away. Thank you, Gilles. Thanks, Connie. Patricia, is there anything that changed in the bylaw? Because I know the PRAC recommended that. No, there's no changes to the bylaw that was presented. No, the public audience, Phil will be there and with his presentation for the adoption. Moved by the Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin, seconded by Paul Boudreau. All those in favor signify saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Nomination to committee. I need to make one nomination just because I was informed one of the members are nominated to the Joint Protection and Water Access. One of the citizens has to desist because of a conflict of schedule conflict. So it was replaced Michael Book by Mr. Judson Cassidy. So I just need a motion. Moved by Councillor Emile O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Sylvie Boudreau. All those say aye. Against nay. Carried. I move the adjournment.